All right, I'm back from the gym now, and I'm gonna start mixing up my post-workout meal. Now, ordinarily, you're probably gonna have something like a shake and maybe some post-workout carbs. You usually wanna spike the insulin with some carbs and then help the protein shuttle into the muscle to recover. But in this particular case, I'm keeping the carbs out of the equation because I'm trying to burn a little bit more fat. You don't absolutely positively have to have carbs post-workout. You can go to a high protein, high fat meal post-workout. Just make sure you don't have any carbs in the equation at all because you don't want to trigger that insulin response where the fat would go into storage too. So in this case, we're using my favorite organic grass-fed ground beef, and we're also using some organic broccoli. And you may be wondering why the heck I'm using grass-fed beef post-workout, but let me explain because there's good reason why. Grass-fed beef is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, and omega-3s, we hear about them all the time. They're not just good for heart health. Let's talk about why they're really good for what you're interested in. They're going to help you burn fat. You see, right now, we consume so much in the way of what are called omega-6 fats. Everything from canola oils and grains and everything like that, they're high in omega-6 fatty acids. Well, our bodies need a natural balance of omega-6 to omega-3. But unfortunately, we are so omega-6 dominant that the omega-3s practically barely exist within our bodies. And those omega-3s reduce inflammation within our bodies. And that reduction of inflammation means that we can recover faster and that the muscles can heal faster, which allows the metabolism to boost faster. Now, additionally, reducing inflammation within the body by increasing the amount of omega-3s is going to also reduce cortisol levels. And if we can reduce those cortisol levels, then that means that we're going to have less of that stubborn belly fat, and we're going to be able to come out of the gym and go right into that mode where we're burning fat and building muscle a lot easier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make some burgers. I'm going to make it with that grass-fed beef, and I'm going to put a couple of things in there that are going to also help me burn a little bit more fat and reduce a little bit more inflammation. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some coconut oil in the pan. The reason that I'm using coconut oil is, like I've said in other videos, it's a medium chain triglyceride, which means that the body doesn't convert it to fat and uses it readily for energy. So it's a great way to kickstart your post-workout. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my grass-fed ground beef, and this is pretty lean grass-fed ground beef. This is actually 93%, 7%, so it's 7% fat, which is still relatively lean. But the fat is what we want. We want those omega-3s within the fats of the meat. Now I take a little bit of the Himalayan pink salt. You don't need much of that stuff. And the reason I use that is because it's a lower sodium content, so you're not going to get the inflammation that you would get from traditional sodium. If you ever gone out for a salty meal and the next day you feel really puffy and you don't have as much muscle definition and you don't feel as lean, that is likely why. And then personally, I'm going to use some turmeric just because I like the taste of it, but it's also one of the biggest anti-inflammatories that you can have. So again, in the spirit of reducing inflammation so that we can get more nutrients to the muscle and so that we can get speedier recovery, I'm going to do as much as I can to make this an anti-inflammatory meal. Then I'm just going to mix up the meat, just making a burger. Then just like you would make any other burger, nothing fancy to it. And while those bad boys are cooking, I'm going to explain exactly why I put the broccoli in with my post-workout. Most people wouldn't want to use broccoli because it's a low glycemic carb. It's only like a 15 on a scale of 1 to 100 in terms of the glycemic index. So it's not going to do much for you in the way of replacing glycogen, but what it is going to do is it's going to lower your estrogen count. The reason that it gets rid of the excess estrogen within the body is because it's got something called indole-3 carbinol, or IC3, which reduces estrogen levels within the body. Now, the reason that you want to reduce your estrogen levels right after you get back from the gym is because your testosterone levels are high right now, and you want to capitalize on that. You want to take advantage of your testosterone levels being elevated, giving your body the right nutrients when it can use them the way that you want it to build and recover muscle and to help speed up your metabolism. So I'm going to let these guys finish cooking up. I'm going to eat them within 20 to 30 minutes after my workout, just like you would with any post-workout meal. And then about 2 hours later, I'm going to eat another meal that's high fat, low carb, and then I'll reintroduce my carbs. So basically allowing my body to get as much of that metabolic fat burning as I can, utilizing those omega-3s before I reintroduce carbohydrates. As always, guys, keep it locked in on Six Pack Shortcuts, and let's rock and roll this 2016, the best health and the best fitness of your life.